Welcome, 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 welcome to our last day of this wonderful book, The Slight Edge. Today we are going to be on chapter number 13, Where to Go From Here. So let's do a recap. We talked about the last chapter, which was about making our dreams come true. Living the slight edge was one of them. And how to make our dreams come true, we were given these 4 questions, which we are supposed to write down. The minute we write down, everything becomes more clear, it's been told to us categorically, because our mind has so many thoughts. Writing down brings clarity. So, chapter number 13, after we have learned about the slight edge, the chapter number heading says, Where to go from here. Someday, when I have the time, I'm going to. Someday, when I have the money, I'm going to. Have you ever said that? Someday. It's a way we have of reinforcing the illusion that the future is safely far removed, that it doesn't really touch us. It's a lie, not an intentional, willful deception, but a lie nonetheless. Let's say that someday I'm going to travel around the world. If that's really true, if I absolutely intend for that to happen, then I'm making plans. If it's not practical today for me to just be up and circumnavigate, I can look at what needs to happen first and second and third, and to end up with that result. When I set that process in motion, the words someday disappear. I'm making it happen today, right now, in a very real sense. I'm already taking the trip. It may be 3 years before we actually take the trip, but the word someday no longer apply, so I stop using them. When I say someday, I'm not really talking about the future. The future is a reality that I'm connected to by what I'm doing right now. Someday is about some vague possibility that I'm not taking seriously. Someday is not a vision of my future. Someday is a fantasy, nothing more. So people who say someday, someday, someday never reach that day. Why? Because they're just thinking of something in the future. But what Jeff Olson, the author, is telling us is that if we really want some dreams to come true, then we have to start living them in the now, even though the process may take us 3 full years before they actually come to fruition. But that doesn't matter. What matters is our intention and how we start working on the detailing. We have been told very categorically that suppose if we have to plan a holiday, we start writing in detail where we want to holiday, which kind of hotels we want to stay in, what budget do we have to have. Every single thing has to be written down. And then we start writing that I need the money for this particular thing. I don't write I need abundance, I need $10 million. For what do I need $10 million? The reasons have to be clear that with that, I will do this kind of business. I will spend this much in holiday. I will spend this much in this thing. That's what is a recap for this particular book. Now, Jeff Olson says, here's the damage we do with this illusion. We give weight to our someday fantasies. We squeeze some sense of enjoyment from them as if they were real. And thereby we give ourselves permission to take no practical action whatsoever while we swim in the comforting sense that those someday scenarios will move closer to the unfolding present on their own. They won't. The wistful, won't it be nice pretending of maybe futures do not insert themselves in our reality on their own accord. You've got to go to claim them. Ask yourself, what is there in my life that I hold as someday? Someday is the 8th day of the week, the only day that never comes. This is the day, this one, right now, right here, says John David Mann, who wrote the book, The 8th Day of the Week. Now, Abraham Lincoln spoke about taking twice as long to sharpen the axe as to hack at the tree. So remember, we talked about this story. So Abraham Lincoln said that if I've been given, say, 20 minutes or say 1/3 of the day to cut a tree, I will take 2/3 of the time only to sharpen my axe so that I don't waste time in cutting on the tree with the blunt knife and keep cutting, cutting, cutting. Should be sharp. So immediately when I strike, the job is done. In your life, you are the axe. The slight edge is how you sharpen it. Sharpen yourself and pursue your path through those simple, small, easy disciplines. And compounded over time, they will take you to the top. Again, I repeat. Now, what we have to do is, when we want to pursue our path, what we have to do is very simple, small, easy steps to be taken every single day. Now, step by step, by step by step, when we're disciplined, diligent, and we're not only doing it, we're not only seeing it, we are also implementing it, thinking it. And that is when we have slight edge. We talked about the first chapter was about the penny, right? How 1 penny a day gave him so much of, like, made him a millionaire, and how the millionaire who was given millionaire together became down to 0 penny. So it's about compounding interest. You keep compounding your acts, your disciplines, your dedicated activity every single day, and we reach to the top. Do one simple daily discipline in each of these 5 key areas of your life. Your health. What is that one daily thing that you can do to achieve great health? Your personal development. So now Jeff Olson has said again and again and again, even if we read 10 pages of book a day, we will have reached a PhD level in some time in our life, because these 10 pages a day, and now these 10 pages a day have to be self-improvement pages. They can't be rom-coms and they can't be fiction. They have to be self-help books. Our personal development will only develop with those kind of books. What is that one thing that we can do in daily discipline for bettering our relationships, which include our family? So what can we do one small thing every day wherein our family becomes closer to us? Similarly, what is that one daily discipline that we can do in our finances that can increase our finances? We know we want to increase it. Everybody wants more wealth, more luxury. But what can we do that every single day to increase that amount? And your life overall. Now, even there's a story about the finances, which we talked about before, is somebody was depositing 10 rupees a day. He was very poor. 10 rupees a day he deposited for years and years and years in a separate account, which he never opened, which he never tapped. At the end of it, he had a big amount. And it was done painstakingly easily, because every single day he had to park that money, and that money became substantial, right? Now, what can we do that one simple daily discipline for our overall life, which includes the meaning and the purpose of our life, that forwards the success in each of those areas? So it's very imperative that we understand these things and we start implementing them. We talked about this very often, that these self-help books are not just to be read, they have to be implemented. When we implement them, then we become a master, and when we become a master, our life quality increases. Make a habit of doing some sort of daily review of these slight edge activities, either through keeping a journal, a list, working with a slight edge buddy, a coach, or some other regular consistent means wherein we have accountability. ये नहीं कि दिमाग में हाँ मैंने कर लिया. We have to tick mark on an Excel sheet or a journal, and we have to take weekly analysis. Just excuse me for 1 second, please. All right, I'm sorry for the break. I'm back here now. Yeah. All right. So again, make a habit of doing some sort of daily review of these slight edge activities, either through keeping a journal, a list, working with a slight edge buddy, a coach, or some other regular consistent means, which means accountability every single day. There's a very simple sign which says what gets measured gets done. So if it's in our mind and it's not measured, it will not get done. But if it's in our mind and if we write on paper and if it's measured, then it's done. Now, this is also science of using a paper or systems so that becomes more refined. They say spend high quality time with men and women who have achieved goals and dreams similar to yours. In other words, model successful mentors, teachers, gurus, masters, and allies to do it daily, weekly, and monthly. And you will find yourself in the success curve. You will turn your dreams into realities. So, very important to learn from people who have been successful in life so that we talk to them and we should ask them, what's your success story? How did you do it? And then we learn from them. When we question them, we get some ideas. When we get ideas, we start writing them at home on paper. And then we say, okay, this is what I can do as well. And then our success curve will be in the 5% going up and not the 95% which is going down. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. They put the slight edge to work for them rather than against them every single day. They refuse to let themselves be swayed by their feelings, moods, or attitudes. They rule their lives by their philosophies and do what it takes to get the job done, whether they like it or not. करना है तो करना है, नो एक्सक्यूजेस। मुझे नहीं मन कर रहा है, मेरा ये नहीं कर रहा, मेरा वो नहीं कर रहा, करना है तो बस करना है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर वॉक पे जाना है, शायद 10 मिनट की वॉक पे ही जाना है तो जाना है, पीरियड, खत्म। Successful people don't look for shortcuts, nor do they hope for the big breakthrough. They're always open to quantum leaps, knowing that such opportune moments do present themselves from time to time. But they focus on sticking to their knitting and doing what they put in front of themselves to do. They step onto the path of mastery, and once having set foot there, they stay on that path throughout their lives. Successful people never blame circumstances or other people. Instead, they take full responsibility for their lives. They use the past as a lesson but do not dwell in it, and instead let themselves be pulled up and forward by the compelling force of the future. They know that the path that leads to the success curve and the one that leads to the failure curve are only a hair's breadth apart, separated only by the distinction of simple, insignificant actions that are just as easy not to do as they are to do. And that this difference will ultimately make all the difference. Jeff Olson also told us that 95% तक जब हम चल रहे होंगे, हमें लगेगा there's no difference कि मैं नीचे जा रहा हूँ कि मैं ऊपर जा रहा हूँ, कुछ फर्क ही नहीं है। एकदम से last minute में 5% time में we will go up or we will go down अगर हमने daily disciplines नहीं करे तो. Successful people know how to use a natural tension to close the gap from point A where they are to point B where they want to be. They understand why the tortoise won the race. They know that steady wins the race, and the slight edge is the optimal rate of growth for them. Successful people practice the daily discipline that are sure to take them to the final destination. They show up consistently with a good attitude over a long period of time, with faith and a burning desire. They're willing to pay the price and practice light edge integrity. So again, Jeff Olson repeats that अगर हमारे अंदर श्रद्धा है और एक बहुत ज्यादा फायर है अंदर कि मुझे तो करना ही है, इस मुकाम पे पहुंचना ही है, तभी मैं आगे जा पाऊंगा, but with a good attitude. Not by them cheating others or मुझे गुस्सा आ रहा है, frustration हो रही, जलाहट हो रही. No, keeping a positive outlook with trust and a big desire कि करना ही करना है, करना ही करना है. And such people are willing to pay the price. मतलब कभी थकान भी है, मूड खराब भी है, पर कुछ करना है, that simple discipline, so it has to be done. Successful people focus on having a positive outlook, but understand that the funk gets everyone. And when it comes for them, they embrace it, knowing it is just refining them. They take baby steps out of the funk and step back into positivity. Means what? We are on Mother Earth. The Mother Earth is a school for giving knocks and shocks of life to us to teach us lessons. तो अगर नॉक एंड शॉक ऑफ लाइफ आए, हम बोले अरे हमारे साथ भी क्या हो गया, अरे हम विक्टिम मोड में चले जाते हैं, तो इट्स वेरी इजी टू गो इन अ विक्टिम मोड. बट we ask ourselves, what is the lesson for me to learn? And when we learn the lesson that we need to learn, and we say, okay, this has taught me this, now let me move forward. Baby step lunga, but aage badhunga. And that is defining the success, which is coming up. Successful people use inertia to build momentum. slight nudge initially, making the upward journey of success easier and easier. They know how to identify habits that don't serve them and replace them with those that do. They understand the powers of reflection, completion, and celebration, and they harness them constantly using their radar for unfinished business to propel them forward rather than being sucked backward and downward. So, again, let's repeat this. जो हैबिट्स हमारे काम नहीं आ रहे हैं, जिन्होंने हमें आगे नहीं बढ़ाया है, उनको हमें हटा देना है. किससे हटा देना है? हटा के नया हैबिट डालना जिससे हमें आगे फायदा हो. ट्रायल्स एंड एरर्स. वी हैव टू टॉक टू पीपल. अगर किसी की लाइफ में कुछ चीज में फायदा हो रहा है तो हमें उसको आगे इम्प्लीमेंट करना है, उधर हमारा अपवर्ड ड्राइव ऊपर ऊपर जाए, बहुत अच्छा हो जाए. जो लोग हमारी लाइफ में पर्पसफुल नहीं है, जिन्होंने who are not helping us in our journey in the sense that they're bringing us down, just move on, right? And very importantly, we have been told power of reflection. रोज सोचना कि मैंने आज क्या किया है, उसको टिक मार्क करना, एनालाइज करना, रिफ्लेक्ट करना कि what have I done, वो simple steps have I done or not. कुछ शुरू किया है तो उसको कंप्लीट करना. ये नहीं कि बीच में छोड़ देना कि अरे कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा, लेट मी ड्रॉप इट. अरे मैंने इतना दिन कर लिया, अब बस हो गया. नो. And celebration, that I've celebrated so many days of doing this. Arey, wow, this. Today I'll celebrate. I don't have to tell the world, but I can, go for a movie, I can go for a lunch or a dinner or buy myself something which I like, right? I celebrate like that. So that now when I celebrate, I have new goal. And that is when I'm going upward and upward and upward, not backward and not downward. Successful people acquire the three kinds of knowledge they need to succeed. They create an ongoing support system of both book smarts and street smarts, learning through study and through doing. And they catalyze and accelerate that knowledge by finding mentors and modeling the successful behavior. So one thing Jeff Olson tells us, that all of us in every stream of our life need to have successful mentors. Because जब तक mentors नहीं होंगे, हम meant नहीं होंगे. There has to be someone that we're accountable to for our behavior, to change our personality. Because what is personality? My personal reality. To change my personal reality, firstly, I have to accept that this is a flaw in me. When I accept the flaw, then I know, okay, how do I change this flaw? Step by step, I move forward. Now, successful people, they plan on paper, they do in life, and then they review again and again and again on paper and in person. And that is when they go up. And again, we were told by Jeff Olson that we are driving for at least 40 minutes a day. Average, he was talking about that average people drive or are driven or travel by 40 minutes a day. And in those 40 minutes, if we put, he said, he said that time there used to be Walkman. Then he said, my iPod has a playlist, and every single day, 40 minutes, I hear inspirational stuff. And when we do that, we've actually done a PhD in the end of life, and we will be so inspired with these beautiful, brilliant ideas. So whatever we want to enhance our skill in, we hear that, and all the information is there. Audible books are there, YouTube has sessions, then podcast lists are there. So he said, do not waste your time in doing anything frivolous. Do this if you really want to improve and become a better version. Successful people are always asking, who am I spending time with? Are they the people who best represent where I want to be headed? Again, one of my business coaches, RJ Sir, says, always be in the company of giants, because when you're in the company of giants, they will speak something which is very powerful and you will get encouraged and inspired. But if you keep in the company of middle class, now personally, I don't have anything against middle class, but if you have ambitions for finance and if you stay in the company of middle class or people like you who are very settled and happy and not having fire, that is your sum. He also said that 5 people around us, the company that we keep, in our kind of category, not the family, then that is what we become. Their sum is what we become. If we are truth and honest with them, if we wear a facade, then we can't change because then we're living in a bubble. Then our personal reality is not shown to them, and that doesn't reflect in our personality. Now, successful people always ask, who am I spending time with? Are they the people who best represent where I want to be headed? They form powerful relationships with positive people. They carefully build mastermind groups, work with those groups regularly and take them seriously. उन्होंने कुछ बोला है तो करना है, ज़्यादा दिमाग नहीं लगाना, because they are maestros. And they do not hesitate to disassociate themselves when necessary from people who are consistently negative and threaten to drag them down. Very, very imperative. Now, there are some people in your life who will say, we know you can do it, but then they'll say, tumhare bas ka nahi hai. You just can't do it. Yeah, so fine. They're frustrated. So are you. So just move on. Successful people read at least 10 pages of a powerful, life transforming book each day and listen to at least 15 minutes of educational and inspirational information every single day without fail. Successful people go to work on their philosophy first because they know it is a source of their attitudes, their actions, their results, and the quality of their lives. They understand that they can increase the success by doubling the rate of failure. So again, we were told that failure is something which you cannot avoid. Those who avoid failure can never succeed. Then they will be in the middle, never too happy, nor too sad, somewhere in the middle, absolutely mediocre life, which Jeff Olson says is 95% of the people. Only 5% are rich and thriving and happy and successful because they don't take the middle path. They are okay to fail. They're like, मैं तो करूंगा या मरूंगा, but करना तो है. मरूंगा तो क्या होगा? ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मरूंगा. I'll further go up. I'll learn from my mistakes. They understand activity, and because they do the thing, they have the power. Once again, if you remember, there was a very powerful quotation said by one of the people that in doing the things, you have the power and the magic. In planning, there's no power and magic. That's only creativity. But in doing the things, you have the power and the magic. They understand the power of simple things. They understand the power of daily disciplines. They understand the power of the water hyacinth. That's the first story. Remember, we talked about it, and how the hyacinth was growing so slow that you couldn't make out the difference. And on last day, it just doubles up in the pond. And they know how to use it. They know how to keep paddling when others give up and sink. Remember the frog who said, okay, the other one just sank, kuch nahi hone wala, wo डूब गया, मर गया. But one said, I'll keep trying. And what happened? He reached the edge of the ocean, right? They know when they are being successful people know that they know when they are being offered the choice of wisdom. When people are getting wisdom, they choose it. They just don't shirk it away. It's not important. अरे सब पता है, मुझे सब पता है. Because पता होता तो आप कहीं ना कहीं पहुंच चुके होते. That's just your brahm, right? So that we were also told that we live in this mithya world, in this Brahm world, that, we are very wise. Well, actually, if we were wise, we would have been there and not here, right? Successful people understand the slight edge and they put it to work for them. So where do you get from here? Find your penny and then start doubling it. Now, the book is coming to an end. I'm going to read the last concluding chapter on this. It's a very powerful book, and I hope those of you who have been regular find, comfort in the fact that the slight edge is something that we can all do gradually, slowly, gradually. We were also taught the power that doing those things when nobody is watching us, in discipline, where nobody is watching, only we know that we should do this. And when we do that in integrity, our principles, our personal philosophy is built, and that personal philosophy takes us and gives our life the slight edge. And that's when we go on the success curve, unlike the 95% of the people. The slight edge next generation, individually taking responsibility, collectively changing the world, by Amber Olson. Amber Olson is a daughter of Jeff Olson, who has been taught the slight edge from the time she was born. Remember, we were told very categorically that every child till the age of 5 hears 40,000 times no. But what Jeff Olson and his wife did is 40,000 no, they knew was going to happen. but they also added 200,000 times yeses. So that what is no, but what is yes is yes. So now Amber Olson became a slight edge girl from a very beginning. Now, this is what she's saying. If there's one thing that is clear about the slight edge philosophy, it is this: the longer you make positive choices every day, the more success will accumulate in front of you. This is precisely why I love talking about the slight edge philosophy with the next generation, which I consider anyone in the teenage years all the way through the late 20s. Because the most abundant resource available to them is time. Through my parents and others, I have seen the impact of a lifetime full of right and wrong decisions and where they lead you. I am forever grateful to have had the positive side of the slight edge curve. Sorry. I am forever grateful to have had the slight edge philosophy instilled in me at a younger age because I was able to end up on the positive side of the slight edge curve by being aware that the choices I make on a daily basis matter. On the other hand, as I approach my first high school reunion, it saddens me to see where some of my high school acquaintances have ended up. They were people who had everything in place. They were popular, outgoing, had loving families, yet somehow never realized that the slight edge was working against them. The small errors in judgment, repeated daily over time, landed them far from where they wanted to be. It is my deepest desire for the next generation of Americans to grasp the slight edge philosophy and to become true champions in their lives and in the lives of those around them. I truly believe the only way our country will truly flourish is if the next generation takes responsibility for their lives. Only then can we collectively change the world. We see more and more young adults and teenagers contributing to society and becoming champions for change. Charitable organizations founded by young adults are on the rise, as well as the amount of time they are contributing to serve others. Young adults are heading up many environmental awareness efforts. I think it's safe to say that most of the next generation understands the problem that face our nation more than our politicians do. They know that the status quo isn't an option and that we can't keep doing what we are doing and expect it to go away. So, how's the next generation going to change the world? Beyond the fabulous humanitarian charitable efforts they are contributing, the next generation is going to change the world one individual at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time. They're going to take responsibility for the lives they lead and lead the blame game to generations past. They're not going to look to the government to provide for their financial security. They will. They're going to be conscious about their health and vitality by treating their bodies like the precious gifts they are. They will value the biggest resource they have, which is time, and they will make correct daily decisions that will improve every facet of their lives and are the key to long term gains. How do I know this? Because they're already telling us so. I've had the pleasure of working with and mentoring many teenagers, especially on the slight edge principles. Every time I facilitate a workshop with them, they share amazing stories with me that demonstrate their commitment to help themselves and their communities rise above current circumstances. They carry a message of hope and determination that is inspiring. The world they have been handed is not ideal to say the least, but they're making the best of their situation. And I'm confident that collectively they will move mountains. Change through personal responsibility. First, I want to paint an accurate picture of the times we find ourselves in, and then hopefully provide some useful steps that we can all follow to help bring big change through personal responsibilities. I've chosen to focus mainly on health and finances as they're both issues that are the forefront right now due to the down economy and the exploding obesity epidemic. They are the areas that are with some slight efforts can yield incredible results. Health check-in. Consider the sobering statistics. The prevalence of obesity has more than doubled in the last 20 years. Okay, I think there are about 4, 6 pages. Shall we do them tomorrow? And then day after we take a break and Sunday we start the new book. Is that all right with everybody? Wonderful. So let's do a health check-in tomorrow to understand the slight edge philosophy because today we've marked the half an hour routine. And here we are. So let's immediately do the rotors of gratitude. And let's close our eyes. Put our hands together as buds and take 100 seconds to circle back and think of the 10 beautiful things that have happened since last night until today, which we're grateful for. Whatever 10 things you can count your blessings with. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you is the biggest multiplier. Gratitude is the biggest multiplier. When we sleep with gratitude in our heart becomes expansive, and then the night becomes expansive, and so much more unfolds in our life. So lots of love and light to everybody. Sleep tight and have a good night. And I'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Lots of love and lots of light.